A prince stood in front of the world and announced the most ambitious construction project in human history. A city that would span a length of 170 kilometers long, 500 meters tall, and only 200 meters wide. No cars, no road, no carbon emissions. 9 million people living inside 2 parallel mirrors in the middle of the Saudi desert. Robot butlers, flying taxis, artificial rain, a fake moon. The world watched in disbelief. Some called it genius. Most called it insane. Today, in 2026, here is what actually exists. 2.4 kilometers of foundation out of 170. Construction suspended since September of 2025. $8 billion written off by the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. And an internal audit that found, and these are official words, evidence of deliberate manipulation by the project's own managers. The most ambitious city ever conceived by humanity is already collapsing into the sand. The $500 billion city that's already dead, and the dark secrets buried inside it. To understand how this happened, you need to understand the man behind it. Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, became the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia in 2017 at just 32 years old. He inherited a country with one terrifying problem. Its entire economy runs on oil, and oil is running out. Saudi Arabia burned through $1 billion per day in government spending. 70% of that comes from oil revenue, and every economist on the planet agrees. Within decades, the world will stop needing oil. When that day comes, Saudi Arabia has nothing. No manufacturing, no agriculture, no technology industry, just desert. So, Mohammed bin Salman announced Vision 2030, a plan to transform the kingdom into a global technology and tourism powerhouse before the oil runs dry. And the crown jewel of that was NEOM, or NEOM. Not just a city, a $500 billion mega region the size of Belgium, carved out of empty northwestern desert. 5 separate projects. The Line, a floating industrial port, a ski resort built on manufactured snow in the mountains, a luxury yacht island, and an underground city built inside a mountain and invisible from the outside. The original budget was $500 billion. Then, an internal audit revised the true cost, and it came to 8.8 trillion. Not billion, trillion. That is 9 times Saudi Arabia's entire annual GDP, more than the combined GDP of Germany, France and the United Kingdom. For a city in the middle of a desert that currently has 2.4 kilometers of unfinished concrete and 0 residents. From the moment the line was announced, engineers around the world started doing the math, and the math kept coming back wrong. The original plan called for 2 parallel mirror-covered skyscrapers stretching 170 kilometers across the desert, longer than the entire country of Luxembourg, each one 500 meters tall, connected by a high-speed rail running the full length in 20 minutes. Here is the first problem nobody talked about. The shadow. A 500-meter tall wall running 170 kilometers would cast a shadow covering hundreds of square kilometers of desert. One entire side would receive almost no direct sunlight for large parts of the year. In a city designed around outdoor walkability and green spaces, that is not an aesthetic problem. That is a survival problem. Then there's the wind. A 170 kilometer wall in an open desert acts as a wind barrier of unprecedented scale. Engineers estimated wind speeds at the corners reaching levels that would make normal human activity impossible. And then there is the most basic problem of all. Where does the water come from? The line was designed for 9 million residents. Each person requires roughly 200 litres of water per day. That's 1.8 billion litres daily, in one of the driest regions on Earth. The desalination plants required would consume more energy than most small countries generate. In a city supposedly powered entirely by renewable energy, the physics never worked. The engineers knew it, and the project went ahead anyway. Before a single brick of NEOM was laid, Saudi authorities had to deal with a problem they never put in the brochure. People already lived there. The Hawaitat are a tribe with roots stretching back centuries in the mountains of northwestern Saudi Arabia. They had lived on the land designated for NEOM for generations. In 2020, Saudi authorities ordered them to leave, immediately, without negotiation. Abdul Rahim al-Huwaiti was one of the tribe members who refused to go. He recorded videos on his phone documenting the forced eviction. He said publicly, "I refuse to leave my home. I refuse to leave my land." Days later, Saudi security forces shot and killed him. 21,000 workers are estimated to have died or disappeared under Saudi Vision 2030. Human Rights Watch documented migrant workers on NEOM construction sites having their phones confiscated, their passports taken, and their promised salaries cut. Workers paid $1,200 in recruitment fees to get the job, then told on arrival their salary would be $213 per month. One worker told Human Rights Watch, "Who do I blame? The company, the recruiter, or my fate?" This is what was buried beneath the glossy renders of robot butlers and flying taxis. By 2024, the cracks were impossible to ignore. An internal audit leaked to the Wall Street Journal found what it described as evidence of deliberate manipulation by project managers. Budgets had been fabricated, timelines were fiction. The project's own leadership had been hiding the true scale of failure from MBS himself. The CEO of NEOM was quietly removed. The workforce was cut by 35%. Over 1,000 employees were relocated from the desert back to Riyadh. In September of 2025, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund suspended all construction on the line indefinitely. Not paused, suspended, with no restart date. After years of work and $50 billion spent, only 2.4 kilometers of foundation existed out of 170. The mirrored exterior that made the line look like a giant mirror in the desert? It only exists in computer renders. Not a single panel has been installed. The Asian Winter Games, supposed to launch NEOM's mountain ski resort in 2029, cancelled, moved to Kazakhstan. NEOM wasn't mentioned a single time in Saudi Arabia's 2026 government budget. The project that was supposed to save Saudi Arabia's future had been quietly deleted from its present. Here's the plot twist that nobody saw coming, and it makes this entire story even more extraordinary. NEOM was built because Saudi Arabia was terrified of a future without oil. The entire $500 billion gamble was a bet that oil was dying, and the kingdom needed to reinvent itself before the money ran out. Right now, oil is trading at $111 per barrel. The war in Iran, the crisis at the Strait of Hormuz, the disruption to global energy supply, it sent oil prices surging $47 in a single year. Saudi Arabia, sitting on the world's largest oil reserves, is suddenly drowning in cash again. The exact crisis that was supposed to force the kingdom to build NEOM actually made NEOM unnecessary. The city built to escape oil dependency collapsed because oil prices exploded. But here's what makes this truly dangerous. Oil at $111 is not a sign that Saudi Arabia is safe. It is a sign that the global energy system is in crisis, because of war, not because of abundance. The EIA forecasts oil dropping back below $80 by late 2026 and $64 by 2027 as the conflict stabilises. The window MBS had to build his way out of oil dependency is closing. Every year that NEOM sits unbuilt in the desert is a year closer to the day that oil money stops, for real this time. NEOM was supposed to be proof that a country could reinvent itself before it ran out of time, that ambition and money could overcome geography, physics, and human nature, that a city could be designed from scratch and become home to millions within a decade. Instead, it became something else entirely. The most expensive lesson in modern history, about the gap between what powerful men announce in press conferences and what the laws of physics and economics will actually allow. $50 billion spent, 21,000 workers dead or disappeared, a tribe forcibly removed from their ancestral land, construction suspended, and 2.4 kilometers of unfinished concrete slowly being reclaimed by the desert. The city of the future stopped before it started. Here is the question that nobody in Riyadh wants to answer. If the country with the world's largest oil reserves couldn't afford to build its way out of oil dependency, what happens when the oil actually runs out? The mirror city that was going to reflect humanity's greatest ambitions reflects nothing but sand. Drop your answer in the comments. Beyond the map, thanks for watching.